let's start the show. Dark Souls 3 is a game that was released in 2016. It was developed by From Software and was published by Bandai Namco. It's a franchise with an immense lore and a die-hard fan base of gamers, which I am unfortunately not a member of. Yeah, it's going to be one of those videos. Before I go into this breakdown, I need to let you know, I don't actually hate Dark Souls 3. Neither do I review something just for the sake of destroying it. But there is a question that I must ask whenever I absorb a piece of media. How does this make me feel, and what can I learn from it? Without further ado, let's dive in. Here's Dark Souls 3. The Dark Souls franchise is the brainchild of Hidetaka Miyazaki. Hidetaka is a man who was born into poverty, and as a result, wasn't allowed to grow up playing video games. As a means of supplementing that, he spent a lot of time playing board games and Dungeons & Dragons. This definitely shines through in the presentation of Dark Souls 3. If you break the game down to its bare bones, you play the role of a cursed undead stuck in the afterlife where your role is to sacrifice yourself so that the ruling powers may live on. You go into a heavily fortified location and have to get to a massively overpowered boss and defeat them while also trying to avoid taking damage on the way there. The entire feeling throughout the game is that the player is incredibly disadvantaged. The simple act of getting to a boss is a massively Herculean task, and then if you survive that, the boss fight will completely destroy you. The overwhelming sense of dread when you enter an area only to find yourself locked in a room with a boss is perfect. What makes the game intentionally dreadful is the fact that if you die, all your unspent experience points are held hostage from you. You are given one chance to go back to the point where you died and reclaim those experience points. And if you die before grabbing them, they're gone forever. Most first run-throughs are going to be filled with wasted hours of players grinding it out and getting robbed before they can cash in. And I should know, I have roughly 98 hours on my first and only playthrough. This brutal penalty as a result of the game mechanics has given birth to a movement in gaming geared towards hardcore players. From this fandom gave birth to the expression, "get good," and led to a brutal truth about Dark Souls 3. The elitist fandom is the thing that I hate the most about it. Before grabbing my controller, I had negative feelings about Dark Souls 3 because I knew how incredibly toxic and elitist the fanbase was being portrayed as. I now know that it's primarily a small subset of that community, and most importantly, the phrase "get good" holds no meaning in Dark Souls 3. A lot of my experience in Dark Souls 3 is being kneecapped by poor enemy AI and abusing the system so that I can cheat my way through the game. It wasn't about learning and growing through becoming a better player. It was about grinding out the same patch until I could survive the boss fight. Everything else was me running past enemies like a game of Mirror's Edge. Eventually, I wound up at Anor Londo, or as I like to refer to it, Anal Rodeo. Immediately after, you get attacked by two knight characters, and after doubling back, I realized the enemy AI was programmed to move as far as a certain point, and then they hit an invisible wall. Upon that understanding, my strategy was just doubling back to that point and then waiting for the right time to strike. It's not even underhanded when a lot of enemy AI has oversized weapons which can go through walls, so the rules because get good has no meaning. The best way to level up is by playing online co-op, working together as a unit to completely screw with the single-player experience. The only enjoyment I gained from this game was acting like a mercenary and helping other players progress in their journey, while also scoring the experience points from beating bosses with them. When I was confronted with a giant boss, I grabbed roughly 2 players and then all the tension from it was robbed from the scene. But by this point, I had stopped caring. Dare I say, I had stopped caring years ago. The only reason why I beat Dark Souls 3 was because I didn't want to trade it in without beating it. I'm going to compare Dark Souls 3 to a completely different game. The one game that I feel Dark Souls 3 was trying to be was Doom 2016. Doom 2016 is a first-person shooter created by id Software in which you play a nameless space marine who battles through hell to shotgun demons a new ass. Hear me out. These games are obviously in different genres with different themes, but everything Dark Souls 3 was trying to accomplish, Doom 2016 does flawlessly. When I was playing Doom, I was so awful I almost died immediately after starting the game. So imagine awaking from the sarcophagus at the start. Before I even got to the power armor, which is in the next room, I dropped to critical health and almost died. While playing through Doom, I noticed the game is grounded in reality. I can't shoot enemies through walls, and everything works the way it's intended. The combat is intense, but there is a learning curve to it. When I started playing Doom, I did it the exact same way I do most first-person shooters, preserving my ammunition while picking off enemies, which was a fine strategy until I had to deal with overwhelming slews of them. Slowly over time, my playstyle changed from the defensive to the aggressive. Rather than constantly running away, I would chain together brutal melee kills to replenish health and continue a never-ending chain of death. Boss battles were difficult, but I was never in a state where I was thinking I felt I needed someone else's help in order to beat it. I did it all on my own, through dying a lot of times. Through those deaths, I learned pattern recognition and strategies needed to win and survive the firefights. Dark Souls 3 didn't really have that outside of maybe 3 boss fights if I was being generous. Everything else was me positioning myself in a spot where the boss can't properly hit me while I wail on them. If I got bored, I brought in some co-op players where one would take the boss's wrath while the other heals themselves. Rinse and repeat, and bam, that's the game. In Doom 2016, just like Dark Souls 3, the story isn't completely told to the audience. There is a lot of backstory needed to understand how things have happened, but where Doom allows you the ability to understand it with collectibles, Dark Souls decides to go down a different path. Miyazaki has been a fan of not telling the audience everything, and you'll sometimes find parts of the lore in random item drops. I suppose that's good if you want to plan on playing multiple playthroughs, but I just don't care. I didn't care for the character, I didn't care about the world, and I didn't care about the plot. When you reach that level of apathy where you're not enjoying what you paid for, you have to ask if everything was worth it. For me, it wasn't, but then again, the game wasn't made for someone like me, and that's perfectly okay, cause that's the very definition of games as an art form. Not everyone is going to like the same things you do. When I play Dark Souls 3, I see overwhelmingly beautiful backgrounds steeped in Lovecraftian influences, gratuitous amounts of body horror, and an incredible orchestral score that gives an overwhelming sense of dread as it feels like the world you inhabit itself is against you. Miyazaki's literature and tabletop board game influences bleeds into Dark Souls 3, and as a result, I applaud the visual aesthetic to bring this world to life. It's just a shame I don't really care for anything else as a whole. There are 4 endings in total for this game, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not going to sink any more hours into it. I'm done. Finito. I wouldn't play any more of Dark Souls 3 or anything else in the same vein. As for writing this, I don't plan on playing Sekiro or Jedi Fallen Order. I think I'm done with this genre of gaming entirely. I've survived only to come out the other side bitter and jaded. Give me a story that's worthwhile with characters I can form a bond with, and maybe we'll talk. Because frankly, I had checked out as soon as I stopped live streaming. And as I said in previous videos about RPGs, if a game is making you continuously grind out parts in order to progress further into the game, it means the game doesn't have enough content to be engaging. That's why you grind out for more levels, because they have to pad everything out. Otherwise, you'd be pissed at how little there was for you to actually do. I'm SonicMTD, and I think the hardest part about Dark Souls 3 is all the hate mail I'm going to get for this video. This video was proudly supported by Unsung Heroes of Patreon. Hey everybody, Matthew Tyler DeLeo, better known as SonicMTD, saying thank you so much for catching my small, little, in my honest opinion, review of Dark Souls 3, and technically Doom 2016. If you like that video, please be sure to like and subscribe and leave me a comment in the comments down below. I always give my comments a good once-over, so if you have any critiques or any way to improve my videos, please let me know, so that way I can grow. If you look up here on the webpage, you will get whatever YouTube recommends that you want to watch. And down here is going to be an entire playlist of my main series, Always Write Reviews. So if this is your first time catching me, please be sure to take a look at my main series. Either way, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. My name is Matthew Tyler DeLeo, better known as SonicMTD. Arigato gozaimasu, and later days.